Welcome
to the J&O Show,
where we talk about
wives divorcing Trump-supporting husbands.
Divorcing my husband because he's voting differently than me.
The women making videos talking about they're going to go vote to cancel out their husband's vote for Trump. I need y'all to go to the attorney's office after and file for divorce. Because what do you mean you're going to cancel out? You are aware that your husband's voting away your rights. He don't give a about you having bodily autonomy. Please go file today.
Listen, apparently this is a thing. Apparently it's a thing that happens pretty often around election season. Now, more recently than in the past.
Seriously? Yeah.
People file for divorce during election season?
Yep.
Apparently that's what's happening now and more often. Apparently it was a thing where that would be one of the things in a list of reasons why someone was getting a divorce, because they have differing political views, which they say then it has different ethical views or, different moral views. Mm-hmm. This is the result of those different views. We vote differently. Now it's like, oh, you vote for Kamala? Nah, we getting divorced. I don't know what you're talking about. You crazy. Okay. It was so much I wanted to jump into on this one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Now the scary thing for me is, and you'll see it as we go through it, it's mostly women talking like this. I haven't. Now, if there are guys, I would love for y'all to send me that. Mm-hmm. Y'all can tell me, like, write the title or whatever of the video down in there. I don't think you could do links. If you do links, they might think that they might think it's spam and they might not let you comment. Let me know and I'll definitely go and look and see. But all of the things that I saw was women talking about they getting divorced. Y'all know this is why a lot of dudes is like, we ain't marrying modern women, right? Since me and my wife been married, I love Jesus. Mm-hmm. I'm tired of Jesus. I'm coming back to Jesus. Yes. And you know what else changed with that? Political views, moral views, thought processes. 2 decades. That's what she went through.
I'm sorry.
Your marriage is going to be there no matter who in office.
That part.
If they trying to take away your rights, he going to be the one standing at the door with the gun, making sure nobody walk in.
Maybe.
Ooh, honey, I heard a noise. I'm gonna go check it out.
I heard a noise. Can you go check it out?
Unfortunately no one was there.
Was anyone there?
I just really wish someone would try to break in.
I mean, what if someone breaks in?
And if they give you all of the rights, he gonna be the one saying, don't go down there. You know they crazy. What's wrong with them folk? You wanna come back and have tattoos and pink, purple, yellow, and green hair? You've been a Christian all your life. What's wrong with you? He gonna be the one there no matter what. And that's the same thing for the guys. I haven't seen it from the guys, so I don't know. But marriage is more important than who in office.
Well, duh.
And I understand. It does show, especially in this election, differences in morals and ethics. But guess what? Folk, we change. 30 years from now, you are not going to be thinking the same thing. And if you believe that because of that, your husband or your wife is justified to just leave you, stay single.
Yep.
Marriage is not for you. You just ain't built for marriage. True. Because marriage extends beyond that. Marriage winks when you're ignorant, when you wilding out, when you ain't making no daggone sense, when you're emotional, when you're depressed, when you're anxious.
All the things.
When you're selfish. Marriage is there all of those times, and you stay. That's the point of marriage. One person who's supposed to stick there with you, for those of you that are religious, as Jesus. For those of you that ain't religious, you probably ain't got nothing to compare it to. Marriage is supposed to be the most important thing in your life outside of God, for those of us who believe. And for those of you who don't, marriage is probably going to be your number one, because I don't really know how you quantify purpose if you don't believe in God. I don't know how that really works. I've seen people try to do it. And this take away your rights thing, where is okay, for those of you who are Christian and who claim Christianity, I'm gonna lay something on you. Biblically, if you're just a Christian, period, if you're just a Christian, you're not married. You're a single Christian. Your body is not your own. It's Bible. Go to Google, type in body not your own Bible. They're gonna give you the verse. I'm probably gonna put it there too. Your body is not your own. So the mindset of it's my body, my choice, just like my truth. It's not your truth, it's God's truth. It's not your body, it's God's body. Secondly, for those of you who are married, you and your body is actually number 3 on your list, because your body belongs to your husband or your wife before you and after God. Bruh. It's God, then my husband and my wife body. You know what that's called? Selflessness. That's why Jesus was able to give up his body. It wasn't his, it was God's.
Yep.
To do with as he pleased to get the mission done.
Yeah.
That's for Christians. If you don't have that belief system, then you have to start to figure out how marriage works in your life, because marriage was set up in this country according to Christian perspective, Christian belief system.
That's right.
Now, we can talk about how they messed it up and how some of them was trying to corrupt it and they were trying to make it do what they wanted to do as opposed to the truth all you want to. But what I'm telling you about is what the Bible says, not what the colonizer,
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
as they say it in movies. I don't really care what they say, what the books say. That's where I'm coming from. Your body is not your own. So that whole idea of that, like, I don't know how you work that out as a non-believer. That's up to you and your situation.
Yes.
So it's on you, because I don't even know how you're going to get your moral basis for how you're going to run your marriage. And maybe that's the point. Maybe if you don't have a belief in God, it becomes that frivolous to you. Don't be surprised when men and women say, you know what, because everybody's treating marriage like ish, I don't even want to get married. Why would I put myself through it? Why would I ever open myself up to trust anybody like that? Why would I do it? Because they don't have anything that's going to make them stay, is when they feel like leaving.
Yep.
Or when I go through my inevitable changes in life, when I change my mind. Maturing changes how you view everything. Money, family, belief system.
Can I get an amen? Yes!
Lifestyle. 30 years will change it all. I'm sorry, when I saw that out, it drove me nuts.
You done cooking for now?
Good.
Than in the past, because the past few elections have been a little bit tense. You have spouses out here who disagree when it comes to which political candidate they support. So what happens? Well, for some of them, apparently they just decide to get divorced altogether. I feel like if I shared these stories without giving you guys the proof, then you most likely wouldn't believe that this is actually happening. So this all started with the trend of wives who are posting videos of them dancing, heading to the polls, bragging about how they're canceling out their husband's vote, right? And they're facing some criticism for a lot of people who are looking at them sideways because they believe you should be divorcing that man.
All of the women out here who keep posting on TikTok and are like, on my way to cancel out my husband's vote, are you okay? Are you being held hostage? Because the way you couldn't waterboard it out of me that me and my husband are voting differently, not just differently. In this election, it's differently. Like, sis, what are you doing? What are you doing? Divorce that man. Don't go cancel his vote. Go file those divorce papers. When I tell you, when I found out my ex-husband was a Trumpy-loving supporter, it was over. There was no chemistry. There was no nothing. We were done because not only did we just like...
I hope y'all jokers be single for the rest of y'all life. I hope you go from a relationship to relationship, having it fall apart, because she's not just saying leave a relationship, which I would understand. If you're saying leave a relationship and we don't have the same political views, I'm not a...
Okay.
You ain't married.
It is what it is.
I understand. But for you to put marriage in that category... Ooh,
Well, with that mindset, it will.
Not only did we just like not get along, we had different moral values. How are you going to raise your kids like that? And for you to be on the...
My question is, you didn't know that you guys had different moral values before you said I do?
Well, that doesn't make sense.
No, they didn't, because they were dating, and they were dating somebody that they didn't know. And then when they get married, all of the stuff came out that they didn't know because they were dating people that they didn't know because they date strangers. Instead of the thing that me and you always talk about, dating people within your friend and peer groups that you know already. So you already know certain things about them. You probably already know their political views. So you ain't got to worry about it. But here's the weird part. In marriage, it's going to change anyway. Did you know that more conservative people tend to be older? Liberal people tend to be younger. That happens. So people change political views as they get older. Marriage has to supersede. And for those of you who love Jesus, Jesus has to supersede. Politics should not be the thing that runs your life and makes your decisions for you. It should be Christ.
That part.
And that will lead you to a specific candidate, usually, but not lately, though. Lately, we all get kicked in the nuts with this one. Gotta love America.
God bless America and no place else.
And for you to be on the internet making a little tee-hee-ha-ha joke about it, I'm concerned. Are you being held hostage? Do you need help? There's a lot of things we can negotiate on, but moral and ethics and what we're going to raise our kids' values on, that's not it.
What do you do when you're voting for Vice President Kamala and your spouse is voting for Trump? Like your spouse is literally voting against your rights as a woman. How does that work? So, Carolee, I do have one friend who is going through this situation.
Right.
And her husband is telling her, well, I'm the head of the household, so you're supposed to follow my lead.
Mm.
Sir, I don't know if you forgot who you married, but we're all very feral. We don't follow. That's for peasants. It's funny because there are some men.
Well, I mean, you know what?
You're right. It does. Who you're voting for might just talk about your ethics and your beliefs, and they might. Go ahead.
It's hard to have certain conversations with the masses, I guess, because the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree, right? So I'm always going to be coming from a biblical standpoint. I am by no means perfect. I do not know it all. Okay? I mess up all the time, every day, by myself.
All day, just me, by myself.
Okay? All the time. But I find it interesting when we try to, those of us who profess to believe in the Bible, believe in Jesus, believe in God, when we say things like that, where she's just like, oh, well, you know, because he said he's the head of the household, you're supposed to follow my lead. And she's automatically like, no, because that's a peasant. Where you get that from? Yeah. This is the reason why we have a lot of people who are getting divorced because of who people are voting for, because we don't have that foundation. We don't have a good understanding of that foundation. Biblically speaking, yes, your husband is supposed to be the head of the home. Doesn't mean that you can't have a difference of opinion, but if he is the head of the home and he's like, this is how I'm voting, I don't see why there should be an uproar when there is a difference in opinion. If you guys are sitting down and reasoning together, if you're you're talking about the reasons why you believe you should be supporting one candidate over the other. Actually sit down and listen to each other, not just talk and then, you know, wait for your spouse to get their point out so that way you can have your rebuttal. Like, actively listen to what they're saying. And if we're going to be coming from a biblical standpoint, whoever it is that you're rocking with or who you're voting for, if their agenda or their policies or their views or what have you do not support biblically what the Bible says, then what is the conversation really about?
Now, for those of you outside, because I always try to come to the people that's not in that situation. For those of you outside of belief, the situation becomes more sticky. This is a part of the reason why I'm coming back to the belief. Because the situation becomes sticky, it becomes complicated, it becomes messy, it becomes confusing. Because you don't have anything to base.
There's no foundation.
There's nothing to base why you do what you do on, outside of this is what I'm thinking right now. This is how my logic is putting things together right now. This is how I feel right now. And that is a very, very weak foundation to be building a marriage on.
Yep.
And as we can see, it's a very weak foundation. Because even Michelle Obama came out and was like, hey, if your husband is voting this way, you got to remember voting is your choice. And when you get in there, that's got nothing to do with him and da-da-da-da-da. If you and your household decide that you guys are going to vote the same way and then you go and do that, like anybody who's speaking in that way, actively placing seeds of deceit and dissension in your household, I got a major problem with that, regardless of who you vote for. I don't care if y'all vote for Kamala. I don't care if you vote for Trump. But the way that it's affecting marriage is a problem. Hey, look, who you vote for is whatever. We're going to talk about the issues. We're going to talk about what's happening. And whatever decision you come up with, you vote according to your conscience, according to your heart, according to your mind, according to your relationship with God. You vote that way. Or we're going to vote together. We're going to sit here. We're going to have this conversation. We're going to go through it. We're going to figure out who we think is the best candidate. And then we're going to vote the same way. however y'all decide to do that, it needs to be open and clear. It can't be well, when you get in there, it's between you and, nah, bruh.
Hell no.
Unless you and your husband or you and your wife say,
That's
when you
something
get in
decided,
there, it's going to be between you and whatever. We don't even have to talk about it. That's fair too. We don't have to talk about it is also fair. But it has to be straight up. And breaking up marriage for this...
Not the best idea.
Let me tell y'all a secret. This was something that my parents told me when I was very, very young. It was something that was repeated everywhere. I don't know what has happened in the many years since I started getting these grays. I know y'all can't see them. I color them in. Yes, I do. I ain't gonna lie about it. I do. I color them in because it had my beard looking like this. It's whites going over the blacks, and they was dancing and doing everything. I need them to be uniform. I need them to be looking like a video shoot where everything is in sync. I don't need them all over the place looking crazy like a crowd of crazy people. So yes, I color them in so you can't see it. But look, anyway, like I said, since I got these grays, things may have changed. But you know what they told me? All politicians lie. You got to see which one lines up with what benefits you and your family and go that way. And hope that they got enough money from some type of lobbying group where they actually going to do what they said they was going to do when they get in office. Because a lot of them is going to lie to you about what they can and can't do in office, because a lot of them can't even move until things get approved by other branches of government anyway.
This is true.
If you got like a Democrat in there and the Republicans, they're in charge of the Senate, they barely gonna be able to do anything. Yep. And vice versa.
We used to know this a long time ago. I don't know what happened. Politicians lie.
They do.
All of them. Every last one of them.
And I just, look, stop fooling yourselves, man. And that's the thing. Because we're walking into this bed of deception, you gotta keep your house clear of that crap and be open and honest. I'm not saying don't have your opinion. I'm not saying, don't come to whatever conclusion you want to come to or how y'all want to handle it in your house. But please be open and honest. And please don't be on some, we gonna get a divorce because you ain't voting for who I'm voting for. What?
That doesn't make sense.
Y'all done lost y'all ever-loving mind. Don't get married. Any of y'all that think like that, please stay single. I'm begging you. Yep. Because you ain't going to make it when life happens. When things really start happening, people start getting sick, folk in the hospital. Oh, this is where you get them, I left my husband or my wife while they were lying in their dying bed, dying of cancer, and I cheated on. This is where you get that from. These weak-minded people. Stay out of marriage, bro. You ain't built for it.
Yikes. Hey, everybody. Down in the description, there are 2 links.
One is to a GoFundMe, and the other one is to a video that explains what the GoFundMe is for. Long story short, we have a medical situation with our daughter that we have to pay for everything out of pocket, and we could really use you guys' help. If you have the time, we'd love for you to go check it out. If you have the money, the funds, we'd love for you guys to help. If not, maybe you could send a link to somebody else who can help. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Peace.
Press the off button.